When was the last time you played a video game that really made an impact on you? And I don't mean the kind of game that you just have fun playing, or the one with a really cool power system and game mechanics. I'm talking about a game that left you with an experience that will stick with you for many years to come. Whether it was an important lesson you learned, a change in your perspective, or a single moment that brought out the emotions you hadn't even known were previously there. Everybody, no matter what venue or medium, has had at least one experience like this. And chances are, since you're watching this video games could have been the catalyst for one of these moments for you. Personally, my first ever experience with a video game was with Zelda Breath of the Wild. I was around 10 years old at the time, and being the iPad kid that I was, I did have some experiences with some mobile games and shooters before, but not with anything I would consider to be a quote-unquote real video game. But my playthrough of Breath of the Wild was different, and truthfully, this is probably the most important gaming experience I've ever had. From the moment Link first opened his eyes, all the way until I watched the final credit scene as I finished the game, I became sort of captivated. Never before had I been so fully enveloped in another world like that. I wasn't just playing as Link, I really was him. Needless to say, I soon fell in love with this game. I mean, I enjoyed practically everything, from the gameplay and story, to even the random NPC characters and side quests. Every new shrine, every new Korok puzzle hidden across the sunless map, every small little side quest left me with this strange feeling of excitement and wonder, eager to discover whatever detour would grab my attention next. But for all of the game's incredible gameplay and never-ending content, I never really found that to be its most important aspect. Really, the story of Breath of the Wild is a lonely one. It's a story of loss, and grief, and tragedy, through the ruins of Hyrule's once great castles and cities. In stories passed down from those who remembered what happened during the Calamity, you begin to uncover its terrible history, and what truly transpired those 100 years ago. Although it seems pretty small and insignificant, this little bit of world building completely changed my experience with the game. I became fully sucked into the game's story and world, something that had never really happened to me before. Possibly, my most memorable moments from Breath of the Wild are the tower cutscenes. You know, the ones you get after unlocking a piece of the map and climbing to the top of a tower. I know that most people probably just skip this, but for me, this is one of the defining moments of the entire game. As the game's incredible OSD begins to play in the background, and the camera pans to the region you just unlocked, I always get this weird feeling of loneliness and isolation. It's like the game is telling me, hey, you know this entire region is still unexplored, right? It makes you feel kind of small, reminding you of just how tiny and alone you are in comparison to its massive and expansive map. But it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, and after finishing the game, I again had this weird and hollow feeling. It was bittersweet, like how you feel after witnessing something incredible, only to realize that you may never experience it ever again. I just sat there, sort of speechless, as I reflected on the amazing journey I had just taken. Video games really mean a lot to me, and have most definitely changed me, at least a little bit. And what I think so many people don't realize is that video games really can have an effect on people, just as how a really great movie or song can impact you in a similar manner. In many ways, video games have evolved to be a kind of art form. The serene beauty of a game like Shadow of the Colossus, the deep and emotional writing of the Last of Us series, or the gorgeous visuals of some games like Gris and Journey. I really see no reason as to why games like these shouldn't be considered works of art. And on top of things like animation or writing, games are also uniquely special in the way they allow the consumer to actually become a part of the story and make decisions that actively impact it. In this way, games can offer an extremely immersive way to consume a story. And because of this, even more so than any other kinds of art, getting lost in the world of a video game can be so easy. And yet, it is exactly this kind of escapism that is looked down upon by a lot of people. They see video games as the only way to escape reality, and a way to ignore the things that really matter in life. And honestly, this is kind of true. But is there anything inherently wrong with that? Sometimes, we just need a break from the amount of BS we have to deal with in real life. Whatever problems you're having, whether it be your job, relationship issues, stress, or whatever else life wants to throw at you, ignoring them for a little while is okay if it gives you some time to relax and recuperate so that you can deal with them better later on. And at times, getting immersed into another world can allow you to reflect on your own. Just like all forms of art, playing a game allows you to receive whatever message the creator is trying to convey. And depending on the player, this lesson truly can affect you. Although it took me a pretty long time to figure out, it was really thanks to Breath of the Wild that I began to realize just how important companionship can be. Looking back on my experience with Breath of the Wild, I realized that such a major part of it is its lonely nature. You spend the majority of your time alone, doing quests and killing enemies all by yourself. And personally, I've also always been sort of a loner like that. While I've never had any trouble interacting with others, I also enjoy time for myself. But this game ended up changing me a little bit. While I wandered alone around the world of Hyrule, I found myself wishing for a companion to travel with, or wanting to see a familiar face, or even just a safe place that I could call home. And it was these moments that led me to realize that I really do enjoy having other people around me, even more so than I initially thought. And that's all thanks to a video game. So yeah, if I had to summarize my yapping, I guess I would just say that video games are so much more than just a form of entertainment and a distraction from life. They're a way to lose yourself in someone else's story, a way to connect and form experiences with others, and a unique method of expressing oneself that can't be achieved through any other medium. Every game has a different purpose, a different story, a creator with their own unique voice and way of expressing themselves. And it's up to you, the player, to interpret how these things are applied to your own life. Video games really can impact people. People like me. People like the creators of such games. And maybe even someone like you. Since at the end of the day, that's okay, as that's something you should be proud to admit.